Are we live? I think we may be, in fact, live. Hello, I am Sentimus Prime, and here in front of me is a box. A rather small one. That's pretty. It's it's like your brown kind of cardboard box. And, and I and as you may know, if it's a box, usually that means it's like a package from like an online site from like either like AliExpress or like Temu or like eBay or something. In this case, that would have seemed to be eBay because it has like an eBay like labeling on there. It has like a little bit of eBay like labeling on there. And because I have like removed like whatever like shipping labels were on it, no, there's not much like detail as of like what's like in the box or anything like that aside from the fact that it's from eBay. But it is HFF, so of course I got in some Hero Factory because why not? Now I do want to make this clear. I did remove the label and open up the box and kind of soiled like my first reaction for like seeing these parts like through the baggie. More so to just make sure that like it's here, everything is like here, but I have not opened the bags yet, so we are going to be experiencing like that through here. Setting the box aside, probably could use that for something else. Why not? And so, with that, we can go ahead and get started. So, what we have here are 2 bags of Hero Factory parts, both from the same eBay seller. And for those who know their Hero Factory, it's pretty obvious to see like what's in like which ones which one's which. But for those like coming in, not have a whole lot of knowledge about like this theme, this is a bag of parts for a breakout Hero Factory set known as Split Face, and this is a bag of parts for a brain attack character called Scarox. Hello. Hello, WannaCry J2P, and hello, Zoom Barca, Zoom Bark, Zoo, Isa. Is that like Isa or Isa? So that's very interesting, but is that's good. I like Isa. How are you doing? How's the chat doing? That's very nice. Okay. And so we are going to be looking at some like the Fear Factory like sets. These are a couple of like interesting, couple of like, I guess we can start off. Let's go ahead and start things off with Split Face. Why not? To go ahead and get things started. Goodbye. Well, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. And you have a good one. All right. We are now taking a look at what's inside. Okay, we do have a little bit of dust like here and there. That would be to be expected. Alright. So, that here we have a bunch of parts, a bunch of CCBS parts on in display. Tis a bit dusty, but it should be fine. Like a bit of dusting would be. It is dusty, but it is but the parts do look like they're in like really nice, shiny condition. So that's appreciated. It's just a little bit dusty and like, well, which can be expected. Like, but yeah, we got like parts like this like head piece, which does seem to also be in a pretty decent condition too. I mean, there is like a slight like hairline crack, which is more noticeable here on camera. But I doubt that will cause like too many issues. You'll like parts with like these like joints usually like have at least a little bit of suffer through at least a little bit of cracking. That's just like how it goes, really. Got like the chest piece. That's cause I do think that the red printing on this torso seems to be a little bit darker than I would think it to be. Hold on. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, like I just noticed, like, by the way, I do have more of these, like, because I have like gotten at least like have gotten like some like previous like CCPS like parts lots, with some of them containing pieces like for split face like this. But I got this as a way to like get all the like necessary like parts and all the like pieces needed for split face. But moving that aside for now, what I was looking at before, my suspicion is actually kind of correct because the printing on this one actually seems to be a bit darker, at the very least for the red like portions. It does seem to be noticeable in the silver as well. That is, I can't. That is strange. I cannot tell if that is. If I can't tell if that's the result of like the printing like fading like over time in like some. If it was in like a spot where it would like fade like this over time, or if it's like a sort of misprint kind of thing. So like like that is very weird. And it does have the Lego logo. It does have like all the like the official like Lego printing like mold stuff. So it is official Lego. It does appear to be official Lego. Man, that's so weird. Oh, that's fine. I have like I've previously gotten like 3 of these chest pieces, like torso armor pieces anyway. So I personally find it like more interesting the fact that it appears to be like a misprint kind of thing. That's very interesting. That's fascinating. That is fascinating. That is fascinating. And to give you, yeah, like putting these side by side like one more time. Uh, like this is typically how you, like the printing on here is typically how it would like normally look on split face. It has like the nice like brighter, more bolder colors, with the red printing being pretty close to the color of the red parts. Whereas this one, it almost the darker red almost looks like the sort of maroonish like kind of color like pieces. So that is very fascinating. Not all mad by it. Like considering that I already got like was not expecting that. We'll set the non-included one off to the side for now. But that's very neat. Definitely was not expecting that. We had also gotten things like these like cool like lime green like spike pieces. Like that got like a bar connections kind of thing. With a little bit of like bubbly, like bubbles like trapped in there. Neat. Got some weird interesting stuff. That's so already it's looking to be fairly fascinating with a what appears to be a misprinted piece. It is a bit dusty. Oh, I do have a feather. I have like a duster thing. That'll be fine. I can go ahead and like at least dust some things off. make it look at least more presentable looking, I guess. Alright. But yeah, but for those who like haven't haven't had like experience with the set before, it does come with some interesting pieces. It comes with two of these like highly like gripped like engine, almost like engine like detailed like pieces, like armor pieces, armor shells. Comes with two of those, so that's like really cool. It comes with three of these like round like armor attachment pieces that would connect to pieces of armor with two of these holes next to each other, like so. That's really neat. It comes with one of these like flexible rubbery hose pieces. And then a interesting standout is like split faces like helmet like pieces, where it is like not like two, not like two, like it has like an interesting way of working. It has like an interesting way of working because like despite like putting the halves together and getting like two completely different faces out of each side, like both of these pieces are of the same, are one and the same. They're just molded in different colors. So if you like rotate it around, you can see that you can see the details remain on the same sides of the face, even though I swapped the parts around. So that is like a very fascinating thing to work with. Very fascinating. And there's like other like parts and stuff too. Like comes with a couple of these pieces, which are nice to see. It has like the like sort of claw kind of piece with like these circular saws at the end. That's like awesome to see. And from the looks of it, we do not have the instructions, which definitely, like, yeah, like from the looks of it, we don't have the instructions for either set. But to be to be to be quite real with you, to be quite honest with you, these aren't very complicated sets. Like they have a very simple way of like, they have a reasonably like a simple assembly. So it shouldn't be too hard to figure out like how to put these together. So yeah, with that, let's say why not put this together. So let's start off by sorting things out just a little bit by taking out the bones, taking out whatever bones are in here. Got like 8. Like armor and like weapons and stuff. So let's go ahead and like put this together. And yeah, I am wanting to ask again, like, how are you guys doing? I do encourage interaction with the chat. There we go. Attach that there. I think we attach that bone to there. Oh, the parts still seem to be reasonably smooth. That's nice. And as you can see, seem to be very simple to put together. Okay. And then from here, here's where we can start our asymmetry. Because we have one leg, but we attach we attach a gunmetal gray foot on one leg and a red one on the other. And then from there we can put together the more asymmetrical kind of assemblies. Alright. I have a little bit of do get so this arm gets this cannon, this sort of cannon thing right here. Now from there we can, I guess, attach the hose thing there, connect it to back there. It could have been done differently. I think that okay. And from that we can attach these. We can put these together. These. Then we can start adding some armor. let's go ahead and attach the armor piece. And then from there, we can attach the head. I will save the helmet like portion for last. For now, I'm wanting to figure out how exactly like this hand was done. I assume like the shoulder gets like I do know how the set looks, but like I haven't like seen it, but I could be missing out on like a couple of details and stuff. You know, here we can attach these here, and then I guess attach is that right? I don't know if that's right. What it could be is like sit down like that first, and then put half pushing, and then that. Just take that off a little bit. Then after that, we can see if we can attach this piece there, or like, okay, yeah, something's definitely wrong with that. That much is obvious. Now let's go ahead and see what we can do. I do know that this goes like that. Got a couple spikes. One, I believe, goes like that, maybe? I could be wrong on that. I'm trying to build it off of memory. You know, now that I'm looking at it, it could, like this armor piece could very well be for down here. And this one is for up here. And then we attach that there. That looks a little bit closer, I think. Then attach this from here to, I believe, just, so I believe, seems a little bit too short. I think some a couple of pieces may be missing. At least I would think. Then, as far as, let's try something actually. Let's remove these, then rotate this piece down like that. Reattach these pieces like that. No, I don't think that's right either. Is this supposed to rotate upwards like that? Have it more along the lines of that. So what we can then do is attach this to here, then ball joints, then half bushing, then armor piece. If the okay, that's a little bit better. Maybe it looks a little bit awkward, but it's a little bit better. And then we can of course attach that there. And to finish it off, we can look at the face, attach one face to the side, and then another on the other. Boom. Here we have split face. Using the parts I just got out of that baggie. Something I'm actually wanting to do now. Oh, hello there. How are you doing? Alright. Just a second. Split face. No, something's definitely off. Actually, no, it looks. I that ends. We're gonna rotate it like that. Wait, no, like this is right. This attaches to here. Yeah, that's a mock. Ah, so that's how it is. So, so basically, what I had done here was I misassembled this assembly. So I believe. Yeah. Take this, it goes this piece to this piece, insert this assembly onto that, and then we attach this onto there. And yeah, with and with it like being just a little bit ever so slightly like further back a little bit, it does definitely seem to uh have a slightly more compact kind of look to it, which is nice. And yeah, I can only assume that alright, there we go. But with that, here we have split face. And from the solar, and yeah, it definitely seems like I got everything from the seller. Now, it isn't complete because the set is missing like the Zamor sphere from the blaster. But I believe the seller might have like I can only like think that the seller like the previous owner might have lost track of it. It's like a likely explanation. But as such, and doesn't come with like its packaging or instructions, which to be fair, I'm not expecting that. It is a pretty like simple assembly as we clearly see. And like this and like yeah, like the like despite not having the instructions, I still got like almost everything like on point. Like the only thing that was like a little bit off was like the sort of interior inside like assembly for the shredding claw. But even then, like I could just like look up the instructions anyway. So like what's like even the dealio there? Yeah, but they're a split face, and that is very fascinating. Very split face is like that kind of interesting kind of. It's like that more interesting kind, one of the more like interesting kind of like Hero Factory sets, where it has like a it brings like forth like an interesting idea with the half and half kind of thing. The whole uh, like whole half and half kind of thing. Like it's very neat, very fascinating. Do enjoy that. That's very nice. Yeah, and yeah, like with the chest piece that came with, the red on the printing doesn't exactly like match that, but we can of course swap it out with one of the ones I've previously had. And with that looks a little bit better. Definitely, like it's definitely like trying to like you definitely like see what they were trying to do with the printing on the chest piece. They're trying to do like the half and half thing on there too. But the problem that here is because it is like a little because it's like a significant because like a lot of like broken up like spots of like printed red like areas on a gunmetal chest piece on like a gunmetal chest piece. It's like looking at it from afar, it gunmetal than comes across as more gunmetal than like half and half, like half gunmetal, half red. So unfortunately, like not a perfect like half and half. Like especially when we bring for account to things like seeing red, like seeing stuff like red bones and stuff on like the gunmetal half. And then like seeing, and I guess seeing like gray bones on like the red half, but I feel like that's not like quite as quite as uh stick out. Uh, doesn't stick out quite as much as the red bone does. And we turn around, we do get, fortunately, turning uh split face or turning them around. We get we get we get like a more prominently red uh like back end. And I guess like looking at it from that, I guess it kind of helps with like the asymmetry, because not only is it asymmetry, I guess it's like not only is it like asymmetry from like left to right, but it's also asymmetry from front to back, because you have like half the torso being red and half the torso being gunmetal, with the front half being gunmetal with a little bit of red printing on it, and then the back half, and then the back side being having like a prominently red look. I guess so. Like that's what they were like trying to do there. I guess it. Overall, it's like still pulls off like the look like decently enough overall. But it definitely is like a definitely a cool one. Like definitely like me some split face once in a while. Both shredding claw and insecticide. Very neat. Where's this one? All right. And with split face right here, we're taking a look and put together a split face. Now we can take a look at Scarox. And so we take a look at Scarox's parts. Oh yeah, that does remind me. Like, it would also like come with like a hero core thing, but apparently, yeah, he wouldn't have that include, like the. So yeah, that would be like a couple of pieces like missing from there, like aside from like spares. But here we have the parts for Scarox, and already a piece that is already a huge standout to me. This sort of head piece. That's really nice. I do like that. That looks really cool. I like that. And then to pair that with like his brain with like it kind of flips so like that. His like brain slug creature and crawler. Look at that. The body is like done up in like this like darker like this darker green. It's like darker illuminescent, like not glowing, but light can like not see through, not opaque, but like light can like still like shine through it. That would have been like a darker green, which yeah, definitely, which yeah, definitely. I feel like it does. Feels like it matches up with the green parts included here well enough. So you know, but something I have found out in like later times is that when like comparing the green like brain slugs, like brain creatures, brain crawlers to like these translucent green pieces, I find that the one that is I find that the brain creature that's is this bionicle. It is. This is not bionicle. This is Hero Factory. It it's made by the same people. It's made by Lego, the same people as Bionicle. It's like it was like meant to be like a sort of. It was like originally meant to be like a sort of like continuation of Bionicle, but, but then like but then after they came out with their like CCBS like building system. That's weird to say CCBS building system. Like that is super weird to say because the acronym is supposed to be character and creature building system, and then adding building system uh, on top of that makes things sound a little more clunky. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to take a look at some of the other parts that Scarox would typically have, including a few of these pieces. Ain't that awesome? Like that's very neat. I like that. Okay, comes with four of those, a couple of these pieces in gold, like these size 4 armor shells in gold. That's nice. That's nice. I like that. That's nice to see. And we do also get like some other like technicky sort of pieces. Those are always fun to see. But yeah, like a lot of like the huge like standout pieces are obviously going to be either like the translucent green ones or the gold ones. Do have some nice standouts. Very neat. I do notice that this one's also dusty, but I feel like this one's like not as dusty. I don't think. And so, with that, let's go ahead and build Scarox. So, Scarox, I believe. Here's the Hero Core thing. And I know, like, oh, a brain attack like villain set coming with a Hero Core. Come, let me tell you what. Behind each of these Hero Cores, there is like a little code thing you can use. That, like you were yeah you could you like you used to be able to use in your like Hero Factory like games. whether that being like breakout like game or like the brain attack like mobile game, you would like put the codes in, like you would like put the codes in, like add to your points, like to in-game currency to like spend on like whatever's in there. I'm completely fine with showing this off because, well, admittedly, like because like it's just like, admittedly it's like it's thankfully like not a very like necessary thing in that game, in either of those games. So that I appreciate that at least. But yeah, with that, let's try to go ahead and put this together. We can try to start with the torso. Assume we I assume we attach these blue pins here, then red technic piece there. Let's try to put this thing together. Actually, it could be the other way around. Why not? Wait, would it be that way around? I'm trying to figure out. For now, at least, let's try to have it like this way, because I think despite it being offset like that, I assume that building the arms will help offset that, maybe. And then, of course, red lever. And then we have a I don't want to see charging for some reason. Okay, and after that, you can go ahead and attach. I think that's how that's built. Wait, then where does this go? Am I dumb? Am I stupid? I might be stupid. I might be stupid. So does this get attached to there, and then we attach a couple of these pins in here, and then we attach it like that. Then we attach it like that. If that's the case, then we can probably just first these this way. And then lever. Could also what we can actually do is have an offset like that and the other. Nah, I think it might actually be this way. I do apologize for disassembling and reassembling this sort of assembly over and over. Trying to figure out like what exactly is the configuration for this. Ugh. But I believe with that out of the way, I think that's after that we can, I guess, the rest like can be like real easy. As easy as I guess we just attach that directly onto there since we don't have the neck piece. Well, since we don't have a neck piece from the looks of it, we put the legs together, then the stumpy little arms, and then the other arms up there. We can put the legs together. And then attach these to them. Then after attaching some armor pieces, like so, we can then add, I guess, gold armor. We can then add some spikes to that. Then we add these pieces onto there. Attach these. And then after that, we can try to go ahead and wrap things up by attaching the head, adding the claw pieces to the sort of mask head, and then attaching that to there. And here we have what appears to be Scarrock with his I guess his included core piece. Very nice. I think I have that right, but I'm just gonna double check with the internet instructions just to make sure. Okay, I think I have the orientation of these armor shells correct. Instructions. Okay, so now like after all the switching and rotating around, I realized that this is, in fact, not the right orientation. So in actuality, it is in fact that orientation. Because yes. So, does that change like the silhouette for that at all? Not much. But we do. It does seem to be resting a little bit. At least a little bit. Look at that. Oh, I need to check on the legs. Yeah, the armor on the legs I have correct. Really, get this from McDonald's? Nope. Got it from Got it from eBay. Got it from an eBay seller. Oh, this actually seems to be. It's only staying in place because. Yeah, it's only staying in place because one of the brain legs is kind of gripping on one of the. Yep. This is neat at least. It kind of has like that. Kind of has that sort of. Kind of has that sort of like functionality to it, sort of. Doesn't work that great. Doesn't seem to work that great, but and it does have its like drawbacks, but it does seem to work. It does seem to work at least. I'm trying to figure out if Skirex has the neck piece or if he's just doesn't, or if he just doesn't have neck piece. I'm guessing that he just doesn't really. I think that is correct. There we go. Here we have Scarax. This one's true. A rather interesting one. We definitely have like a neat idea thing going on here. Very neat. I enjoy that. Yeah, we can go ahead and try to attach like the tail of the brain onto there. Why not? Kind of flexes and unfortunately, like the tail kind of flexes in ways I don't want it to. So I guess like what I tend to do, and it also like tends to restrict articulation a little bit. So I think what I typically tend to do is just leave the tail in peg. Seems to be the better for it. What is that? What is that sneaking sound so loud? Can't even hear your voice, man. Oh, you can't? Oh no. The only sound I'm really hearing on my end is the it's like the weather outside. It's currently raining. But I think a shaking kind of sound. It could be me like messing around with. It could be me accidentally like bumping into like the camera a little bit. Uh, but also, yeah, it could also like just be me like, I guess like speaking like quietly, like being like a little too casual with it. It does is all right. Let's Yeah, the parts are definitely in a pretty good condition. I might say, like even even like these like little like tentacle these little like clip pieces on like for the mandibles. I have personally find like this piece like very susceptible for breakage from my experiences. This one is like ever so slightly looser than this one, but they're both like totally fine. Like they're both both like totally reasonable. Well, I like this. It's a very neat. Seems to be very neat. Definitely like how like the brain's like red eyes kind of like fills in like the fills in like the insectoid kind of eyes. Kind of like covers up multiple eye. Makes it gives it that look that it has like multiple insectoid eyes. That's pretty neat. Unfortunately, it is like pretty hard to. It is like even in person, it's like pretty. Even in person, it's pretty hard to see like the red eyes behind these insectoid eyes. But as far as like the sculpting of like the head of like the face like itself, it looks awesome. And also like some extra little connections. It's a really cool it's a really cool piece. Unfortunately, as far as the set goes, it's kind of like the only like piece. It's like kind of like the. It's unfortunately like the only piece of like that this set like really has to itself. To be honest, because like all these other parts are kind of like yeah, they're still like really neat to have, but like they've shown up in like other sets. Like in even the brain, while it is technically a different color from Ogrim's brain, it is like a very it is still like very green and that tries to work with the translucent like bright green. Oh, I find that Ogrim's brain also works really well. Works just as well, matches up with the bright green, translucent green, just as well, if not better, than this one does. It's a very, it's an odd one. It's, I will say it's an odd one. I do find it interesting how the sets would have like shorter arms. Like I do find it interesting that it kind of has like shorter arms than like your typical like CCBS sets. Does make posing them is like very neat. It's an interesting set. I do find it quite interesting. And even like trying to like have and some look at that. That's like looking like very neat. I find that like I find that that looks uh like you can have Scarox like crawling on his like on on like all of his legs. Pretty neat. But actually, I want to. I brought. I, I have a bunch of parts I have here under my setup. Let's see if. Let's see. Have Okay, so yes, I do have another. I do have some of those on hand. As far as armor bones and stuff goes, I do apologize for like the shuffling sounds that you're probably gonna hear for a little bit. I'm like I like looking at Scarox. I'm like looking at the Scarox and I'm thinking, and an idea. I'm thinking, trying to think of something. No, that one's not gonna happen. Let's try to dig through the bones. Let's hopefully find a couple of bones that will work for. Yeah, and then let's try to add like a sort of neck joint. I grabbed a couple of options for neck joints. See what I'm gonna do is remove the head, remove the legs, let's try to pinch these. Let's actually try to pinch these together so that it kind of helps, but not really. Let's add neck joint. We'll start by adding like this super short one. So let's see, that way, so that's all the range you did have, and more. And now, you can pull, and now, pull his head up all the way. Pull head up all the way. Now what we're going to do is assemble ourselves a couple more of these Scarox limbs. And then just attach those right down there. And with that, here we have Scarox as a more like insectoid, like with like a more with like 6 of these legs, all of which are looking very much like insectoid legs. Look at how that looks. That looks neat. Now, I will give it to you. I will, I will admit this, like, especially like obvious like red part, lever parts like this. Definitely, definitely want to see how I can like change this up to have it more, not only a, not only like not only like swap out like red parts or like black parts to like help with the color scheme, but also maybe put together something slightly more structurally stable. Because while this is like really cool, it definitely is like a very flimsy way of doing that. It's ultimately it does work. I will admit it does work, but it is it is unfortunately a bit of a challenge to like try to mess with it like for posing, you know. Let's see. Let's actually try to see how this looks while standing up. Let's. We have Scarox, and then for the legs, let's see about. For the legs, let's actually try to do something like. Let's see how this works. I'm trying to have like a unique. I'm trying to have and like have Scarox like stand on these legs. Like, look at that. Oh, that's actually real nice to see. Okay, I actually kind of like that. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. I like how this like looks like they could like work as like their own feet. Just like I kind of like how like these like uh, uh how like these spots here could like definitely like definitely like seems to be working as like a sort of heel kind of thing. See, I do see that it's like a very unnatural. It's a very nice like creep. Gives it like a nice like creepy like look. Definitely like looks. Definitely like kind of. Definitely feels that it gives it a little bit more of its own silhouette. I feel. Yeah, this is. this is, yeah, admittedly, this is kind of much. It is kind of cool, but it doesn't just flops, just flops around a lot. There we go. Admittedly, I find that to be, I do find that to be really cool. It is slightly even more challenging to pose, but I feel like it can be cool. But for now, at least, I will be sticking with the official legs. Maybe with a smaller difference, with a pulling a couple more pieces, because I find that the color scheme is like for the most parts a-okay. Do you get like a little bit of like green or random? Do you get like all the green is definitely on the head? That's like a bit weird. But what I find to be more weird is that the upper legs are just in gray. So what I want to try next is swapping out. It's just swapping out a gray leg piece with a black one. Let's do that for the other side. And as far as that looks, I just realized that this one's a bootleg. Let's swap that one out with the official piece just because. Just wanted to make sure that would be more consistent. And I look at that. I like that. That looks slightly better. I do like the look of that. Do like the look of that. Definitely helps with the color scheme a little bit. I'm just going to mess around with this bit. I feel like the shorter leg bone definitely works for this because it gives them a good bit more posability. So I think it is supposed to be just connecting the head to the neck joint, but I find that this gives it a lot more expression and like posability. I'm gonna keep the neck like this. Okay, neat. I want to try that. Let's see if that like helps improve the stability for the legs by any amount. I feel like that does. Feels like it definitely helps with the balance a little bit. Ooh. I realized I could also like stuff like that. It definitely seems to be working. I like that look. That's actually a really good look. I like that. I might think about displaying it like that. Okay. Do I have a couple? I have a couple more. Do I have just a couple more? Want to try something else out too. They're bringing a bunch of them. It's not exactly a hard piece to find. So I figure this, like that works for the leg. That seems to work for the legs. How about the arms? That seems to be a bit loose. Let's try. Ooh. Kind of gives them a good bit more posability, more dynamic like posability. I like that. It's nice. more spindliness. I feel like it definitely provides more options than just like and it's literally just like adding small bones to it, making it a taller, more lankier design. The legs, I feel, add to this look so much. Add so much to this look. Hmm. I'm then for the arms. Look at that. That's really cool. I like that. That's real nice. That I find the stability for this one to be a little bit more yes. I definitely like I definitely like the idea of adding two more of these insectoid like appendages as insectoid limbs and then just using those as the legs. I find that to be really cool. Definitely definitely struck gold there. And then yeah, and then look at that. That is starting to become something really neat. Okay. Obviously, these are just completely unable to hold their own weight because they're not barely disconnected it very. That is fascinating. You know, just like small modifications like this definitely breathes so much life into Scarox's design. I find myself liking this set. And then the modifications is just like extra icing on that cake. That is Scarox. That's very neat. I like that. That's really cool. Let's dump the unused things in there. I'm keeping the legs here because probably I don't know if I should convert him back into like this into like the standard like configuration, or should I just uh keep going with the I'm probably gonna just keep going with the modification uh, to be real with ya. To be real, like the next thing I would like to do is definitely like change up this whole assembly and to swap it out with something that could 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 possibly to swap it out with something that is definitely like more visually appealing, more structurally stable, more visually appealing, and possibly keeping the sort of swinging gimmick. Possibly, if I'm able to do that, but that'd be like third priority. The top two priorities, like for modifying this would be for changing up this would be to like the two like higher priorities I would have for this would be just like would be it have it structurally stable, have it structurally sound, and have it visually appealing. Then after that, I'll like worry about like having. Then I'll worry about things like keeping like the gimmicks that that it previously had. Okay, that's really nice. I like that. Definitely gives it a that's really neat. I like that. Sorry about that. Maybe I should keep the. Maybe I should. Actually, no. I'm totally okay. I'm completely okay with like the width of with the length of the neck. I feel like the length of the neck is exactly where it should be for my vision, for my personal like enjoyment. I do want to find a way to like change this up to have it change it up to be better, but I'm not gonna. But because I've already done like so much like spent like so much time like modifying that, I'll probably just I'll probably focus. I'll probably like do that off camera kind of thing. I could do that off camera kind of thing, but even with that looking how it is, I like even with the gear function, like so remaining how it is, that looks so much cooler, don't you think? That looks that looks very neat. I definitely like how this turned out. Definitely like it. definitely like a very neat look. Let's see if I can put uh our let's see if we can put Scarx in a more intimidating kind of pose. How does that look? I do like that. That's awesome. And because these are now a little bit longer and Scarx is in a more sort of forward position, definitely seems to have a little bit more range. The gimmick seems to have a bit more range. I like that. That's really nice. That's really nice. Just with the like little bits of like modifications I added here, it definitely feels like this is like something that's like really cool. And yeah, then I guess I'll worry about doing like modifications uh, for like definitely like after it ends, and definitely after I end the stream, I'm definitely gonna be playing around with these two sets, both as they were released and like just upgrading, just like adding these modifications because I find this to be like really cool. I'll definitely add more modifications like off camera, but I definitely find this to be like something really cool. Like even with these little bits of modifications I've added to Scarox, like Scarox is like so much cooler now. It seems to be like so much cooler now. Definitely really appealing to me. Do enjoy that. And I guess with that, I think I'll wrap things up. I guess this is probably like a good, decent enough time to wrap things up. Uh, yeah, I thought that was, like overall like getting to experience like these two sets for the first time. Definitely really nice. I definitely like. I'm definitely like. It's definitely like a fun experience. Definitely a fun experience. I definitely find some redeeming qualities for Scarox. And well, and Split Face, I like it. Like who doesn't like split face? Like they're they're a they're a definite they're a definitely those two are definitely a these two are definitely a interesting duo, and Scarox is awesome. Scarox, I find Scarox to be quite neat. Quite neat. That's true. I do like that. So with that, I think that's a fair enough time to wrap things up. If you enjoyed this Here Factory stream, consider to like and subscribe, and maybe even maybe even maybe even comments or like chats, maybe even like check out like upcoming live streams if you want. As far as like how often I post, I post I try to be as consistent with it as possible. I I do I, right now I'm doing like one stream once every weekend uh on either like Saturday, Sunday, or possibly like Mondays, possibly maybe Fridays. Like definitely once a weekend at on like whatever day I tend to stream like that weekend. I know consistently I always start the streams at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're interested, and if you are at all interested in the kind of content that I produce, I do encourage you to check it out, and to be looking forward to it. And with that, I believe that'll be it. I've been Sentimus Prime, and I will see